eSports themselves, going against Isurus Gaming HyperX out of Argentina. With me tonight again, Mason. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic tonight, Cuddle. You know, we're in the quarterfinals now. Kind of weeding out the wheat from the chaff here. We've got the best, and they're ready to compete for the spot in the finals. And I think we're going to have a fantastic series.
Yeah, I'm excited. Earlier in this tournament, we had to weed out some of those weaker teams. A lot of one-sided matches leading up to this very much point. A lot more talented players have stepped through the old rubble of the early tournament, and now we're going to see a lot closer, tight Dota. I say that now, but hopefully this won't be a very one-sided match as the game goes on. I'm already seeing a nice proficient draft here. We'll just go ahead and jump right into it. Isurus Gaming HyperX pick up the first pick. They grab that support Visage. No real surprises there. Very strong, proficient, universal, and versatile. A lot of big words I'm throwing already. Visage with that Grave Chill, that extra long range slow, of course the Soul Assumption, big heavy damage. I mean, there's nothing better than a early support Visage. I mean, what do you think about Visage as a hero?
I mean, absolutely. You know, when it comes to competitive Dota, tri-lanes are the name of the game, and Visage does incredibly well on the tri-lane. So, I mean, you really can't ask for anything better. Nature's Prophet coming out for Helios, also a fantastic pick as always. You know, he can team fight, he can do pickoffs, he can rat it up, he can do pretty much anything that you want him to do. And the bans as well, pretty stock standard in general and for this tournament. Invoker has seen definitely a lot of play lately. People don't really want to fight against him. He can push really well, he can be a nuisance in team fights. And Slark as well. I don't think I've actually seen a Slark play yet because he's been banned out every single time. Nobody wants to fight the fish.
Yeah, he's definitely slowly become one of those first ban, first pickup. If it fits with a certain team's play style, they can really take advantage of that kind of hero early. He's able to really snowball out of control if he gets a certain set of farm. We've been seeing him used pretty much regularly in high-level skilled games, so it's been picking up all throughout the scene. Isurus Gaming going with the Storm Spirit second pickup, which is always interesting to grab him that early in the draft. It kind of gives a little bit away. Then it kind of lets Helios eSports know, hey, we're thinking about rolling with this Storm Spirit possibly in the mid lane. You might want to also consider getting rid of maybe that Life Stealer who works so nicely with the Storm Spirit. Life Stealer, great late game. When you get him with a good vehicle like a Storm Spirit, they can cause a ruckus throughout the rest of the game. Helios eSports, they got that Crystal Maiden, the Queen of Support, so expect them to do a little bit of aggression earlier in the game, maybe grab her a smoke, put a lot of aggression on that Storm Spirit possibly in the mid lane, but we still have a long draft ahead of us, Mason. We don't know. They could always move this Storm Spirit elsewhere if Helios decide to counter him pretty hard.
Yeah, you can always move Storm to the safe lane if he gets countered hard mid, but they've kind of banned out the biggest problems that he has to deal with. Invoker's not going to be there, Viper's not going to be there, OD's not going to be there. So no matter who he goes against, he's going to have an alright matchup. But yes, you could put him safe lane. You could offlane him. I think I've seen Koifa do that. It's a little trickier because without an escape until level 6, he's a lot more vulnerable to ganks, but it's something you can still do. Crystal Maiden, always a fantastic support. Good lockdown, good nuke, mana aura for everybody. Definitely pairs up well with a Nature's Prophet because that Frostbite gives him enough time to teleport in if he wants to help with the pickoff.
There's still a lot of great options in the field as well, especially considering Helios grabbed that Nature's Prophet early. You still have that Nyx Assassin and Clockwork both in the pool who can address a Nature's Prophet who likes to split push, you know, very often. They can address that easily. When I see Isurus Gaming right there, when they go with the Storm Spirit and they have all those counter bans already in the mid lane, it makes me think that maybe they're putting a lot of confidence into their mid lane player. I unfortunately haven't seen them play yet, so I don't know who that may be, but I'm feeling like a lot of their game can revolve around how well this Storm Spirit may be able to perform in the mid lane if they're putting these many bans around the Storm Spirit himself.
Yeah, I was actually looking at chat a little bit earlier, and a lot of people were saying that the Invoker ban was actually a respect ban against Isurus. I mean, good hero in general, but, you know, if a team has a specifically really good Invoker player, it just becomes a nightmare. So I think Isurus has a lot of confidence in their mid player, like you said, to pick up a Storm this early and to ban out all those mid heroes for the specific chance of getting a good matchup for the Storm means that they're really hoping for him to snowball. And I like the Nyx Assassin pickup as well. He's a really good support in a tri-lane because of his stun. And when he hits level 6, he can go and kill those squishy supports on the other side. Crystal Maiden, not exactly known for being quick or tanky. Bane, Nightmare helps him a little bit, but when you're getting hit from Vendetta, there's not much you can do about it. Doesn't have a hugely large health pool, so all good heroes for Nyx to pick off, as well as Nature's Prophet later in the game when he needs to stop the split push.
Yeah, Nyx Assassin just works beautifully so far with all these sit picks. I said it a little bit before. He works so well against that Nature's Prophet. Obviously, a Bane won't be able to see him coming, neither the Crystal Bane. So right now, Nyx Assassin's feeling pretty good right now. He has so much to choose from for potential and how he wants to build up his hero and take advantage. But Helios eSports, they look to go into their late game now. They grab up that Luna, who's been one of the more popular pickups for that late game potential. She adds a lot of extra pushing power to go along with that Nature's Prophet. So expect her to try to be consistent and sitting in the side lane, building up a lot of the extra farm, probably looking to build into either that BKB or Helm of the Dominator into more damage. Now, Mason, you tell me, what are you more a fan of? I typically, whenever I see, maybe it's because we've been watching a lot of amateur and lower level Dota, but whenever I see Luna's picking up the Helm of the Dominator, it's a great item to get, but to really take it to the next level, you need to be able to have someone there to do those stacks at the Ancients and really make it worth your while. Otherwise, you just have an item that adds, you know, a little bit of leech and a little bit of armor. So hopefully if they decide to go that route, they'll do that. Otherwise, I would hope that they'd go for like a BKB. You know, you're going to be dealing with that Storm Spirit. You're going to be dealing with that Nyx Assassin making a move in. You don't want to be caught out too much. And now with that Ancient Apparition, I like Luna getting that BKB and then going into damage. How do you feel?
It's entirely going to depend on how her laning phase goes. There's really no super hard carry for Isurus yet, so you could build the Luna as more of a mid-game carry because she's going to need to fight early and fight often against this sort of lineup. So I wouldn't mind seeing something along the lines of Treads Drum, BKB, get her a little bit tanky, get her that magic immunity, and be ready to sort of take this mid-game head-on against a team that really doesn't want to go late with the pick so far. We could see an off-lane Nyx Assassin. We could see a Koifa style thing going on here with a Visage Ancient Apparition +1 tri-lane. That could be a thing. We could see a mid Nyx Assassin with an off-lane Storm Spirit, or an aggressive tri-lane and a safe lane Storm Spirit. There is still some flexibility in Isurus' draft, so it'll be interesting to see what they decide to pick up as the last one, and if it's going to be, more in the gank style or more of a hard carry. If we need to go late, we can take this late. And what I like about Helios' draft right now is they can take it late if necessary. Luna, great mid-game carry, get her a BKB and she can fight. But if you farm her up a little bit more, maybe you have the farm for a Midas, you go into something like a Manta Satanic afterwards, she can be a hell of a late-game carry. Same thing with Nature's Prophet.
There'll be a lot of that late-game split push pressure with both Luna and Nature's Prophet occupying one lane to themselves. They'll be able to push hard and heavy later into the game. Now I want to talk a little bit about this Ancient Apparition. He's been making an appearance in the scene lately, and a lot of people are wondering why. And I like him a lot. I like him in this game. I love Chilling Touch. It can do a lot of damage early. They are quickly claiming that Ancient Apparition may be your new top damage top damage at level 1 hero, and I definitely believe it. If he grabs that Chilling Touch early, and now he has that buff where you don't have to feel as pressured about making sure you include yourself in the Chilling Touch. Wherever you throw it, Ancient Apparition will acquire the Chilling Touch himself. But if you put him in a lane now the Weaver is still available. I know this is kind of a long shot, but if you give a Weaver, let's say, Ancient Apparition throws the Chilling Touch on him, he's able to Sakuchi through the whole creep wave, get down to the enemy, throw out a couple of attacks in there, hopefully with the Gemini as well, and you're dealing a lot of heavy damage and harassment early. Typically, though, you don't see an Ancient Apparition do that early roaming game, so from what I'm seeing, unless this 5th pick changes things, Isurus Gaming are looking for more dominant lane control. Helios counters back with that. They grab the Templar Assassin to contest the mid lane against Storm Spirit. How do you feel about Templar going against the Storm Spirit?
I'd say it's a pretty good matchup one way or the other. I don't necessarily think it super favors one or the other. Storm Spirit can push the lane pretty well with his remnants and sort of keep lane control. Holy shit.
What is happening right now? Out of left field, everything is broken. Was this a misclick are we seeing right here, Mason? What is happening?
No, I think this is a legit Meepo pick.
Wow. And look at that, fullback. Taking a hold of Meepo runs right to the top lane.
Is this draft?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get a good game going for you right off the bat. This is my pleasure to bring you the very first Meepo game that I'll be casting. Mason, I'm sure it might be the same for you.
Yeah, I've never cast a game with a Meepo, and it.
Wow. This is going
this.
to be a big statement if Isurus Gaming can take this game with a Meepo.
I'm going to think through this for a second. Between Geostrike and Chilling Touch, Meepo actually has a pretty fair amount of base damage early game. His regular base damage is not great. It's 44, that's pretty pitiful. But if he gets maybe one level in the Geostrike, gets that extra damage, he's got Chilling Touch on him every once in a while. Between that, Earthbind, and Poof, there's a lot of damage that he can do, especially with a Soul Assumption to back him up and a Cold Feet to sort of, secure that kill. One of the biggest problems that Ancient Apparition has with Cold Feet at early levels is that it's really easy for people to just run away far enough that the stun breaks. However, when you have a Grave Chill to back it up with a really strong slow, you have an Earthbind to keep him locked, he's pretty much guaranteed to get that Cold Feet.
Wow, it's a lot of lockdown that can work really nicely. It's going to force Helios eSports to really play a lot more cautiously here in the top lane. I'm just still so flabbergasted about how it works. I love how the Argentinians in the chat are going crazy about it. Their teammate, they're representing with a Meepo now. It's going to be a big deal here. So I'm curious to see how it works out. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a lot of extra damage. If you didn't already know, obviously a lot of people watching and don't play maybe Meepo, he did get another recent buff in 6.8 in addition to the one that he got prior to that in 6.79. Now he gets a hold of that Divided We Stand, starting at level 3. That is 2 Meepos already at level 3, 2 sets of nets right off the bat early, and then you can really begin to isolate and do farm. But a lot of people also think that with that early gain also comes its own problems. He still has very low life. He doesn't do very much damage. It's not like he can immediately run to the jungle and make it work. He still might be pretty hindered early. So I don't know. I personally have never played a Meepo. I've obviously gotten to witness a lot of great Meepos out there, but I'm really curious and anxious now. It's gotten me a little bit excited, not gonna lie.
Well, I think the call was that Isurus was assuming that Helios was going to run a defensive tri-lane. And with somebody like a Luna wanting to farm, that's not too far-fetched to kind of guess. She can go aggressive, especially with a Crystal Maiden and a Bane, but you generally see her wanting to get the safe lane farm, getting a quick start. So I guess they figured that Meepo wasn't going to meet a lot of resistance early on, maybe just a little bit of harassment from a Nature's Prophet, but certainly nothing that supports can't handle. And if he can get his levels fast and move into the jungle and farm quickly like a Meepo can, maybe get an early Ags or even go for an early mech, he can be a serious nuisance in these team fights. He does a lot of damage, a lot of it magical damage, and he can right-click pretty hard, so if he can get going before this Luna picks up a BKB, this could be a thing.
They're counting a lot on this snowball factor that they'll have going for him with that pick-off phase that Storm Spirit can move into, and then obviously Meepo coming into his own. We'll see how it ends up working out. With that said, the horn is sounded. We've begun the quarterfinals, or at least the second match of these quarterfinals between Helios eSports and Isurus Gaming. I'll go ahead and start things off. Introductions on your Radiant side with Helios eSports sitting side by side. The Bane and Crystal Maiden. Crystal Maiden is going to be played by Sakai JPA, also known as Lemon Kisu. Right next to her will be the Bane JNT. I believe that's the leader of the team himself. Already an early smoke up going on this mid lane. I'll try to go through the rest. Louis the Pooey playing your Templar Assassin in the mid lane. Bottom, we have Song of the Sun on the Luna. And then finally on your top lane, we have Kunoichi on your Furion. But top, here we go.
Hold off on the Dire.
Yep, you got to hold off as the sleep goes out. They're looking to set the pace early. Isurus in a lot of trouble. Nice sleep. Now big damage laid out by Louis the Pooey. They're going to go. They're going to get it. One more auto attack.
Ooh,
boom,
so
they
close.
got it. And they give it to the perfect person. Louis the Pooey picks up the first blood in his mid lane. They are setting the pace early and off to the races very quickly. Mason, why don't you go ahead now and introduce Isurus Gaming from Argentina.
Absolutely. In our aggressive tri-lane down on the bottom here, we've got 999 playing the Nyx Assassin, Knuckles on the Visage, and where are you going there? Nidara on the Ancient Apparition. In the mid lane, on this... Whoop, hold on, I'll hold off again.
Speaking of Nidara, he runs into trouble. Bane has the sleep ready if he wants to pull the trigger. They're thinking about it, but I think they're just going to kind of... Oh, nope, here comes Knuckles. From the south goes the Grave Chill on his own. Frostbite to save, though, from the Crystal Maiden. Lemon Kisu now has to step back. Knuckles letting her know that He's there, and he means business. A little agitated from our first blood. I don't know
missed
what
the
that
impale.
stun... Yeah, that impale was a little too short. Will not catch up, but the auto attack should be able to do it, and they get a bit of redemption there as they pick off the support. And Kisu, Song of the Sun, lays out a little bit of a loosened beam, but will be forced to step back.
I mean, that's that chilling touch bonus damage. I mean, supports like a Visage, an Ancient Apparition, they don't have a lot of base damage, but when you give that, what is it, 50 extra magic damage on 3 attacks this early, a support like a Crystal Maiden just flat out can't survive that.
Yeah, this is going to be hard to watch. By the way, to finish out the introduction, don't mean to take it ahead of you. It will be fullback on that Meepo in the top lane, and obviously DDX playing that Storm Spirit in the middle for the rest of the Argentinians here. But I'm going to have to keep my eyes peeled on this one. I'm feeling a lot of action. I'm trying to keep high. So if you're wondering, I am controlling your camera in case it is terrible. Meanwhile, as far as last hit's concerned, Meepo riding up in the front right there. 11-2. He's getting a nice set of farm early. Already got his second friend in that top lane farming things out. But the story will be here early game in this bottom lane. Nihadra hanging on the outside. Chilling touch and cold feet already acquired.
Top lane.
Oh, there we go. They're making a move.
Goodbye,
They get him. I saw it the last second there. The nets were laid out. And they managed to poof. Furion gets trapped out. And can't stop him. How ironic is that? That's going to be a really hard matchup, actually, that you think about it. The Meepo and the Furion doesn't work out too well. They could just poof right ahead of any sort of sprout he'll lay down. They'll get him.
That Furion's going to have not a great time in this top lane. Meeple's already got a level on him, and it's only going to get worse. He actually picks up the early Orb of Venom, which I really like. He's going to make it really hard for Nature's Prophet to straight up run away. He'll be forced to teleport out, which you can cancel with Earthbind, or just die, basically. And bottom lane, we've got some action. Yep,
they're looking to pull the trigger. The Impale will land this time. It gets 2. Song of the Sun runs right in, but they cannot commit. They were blocked out by the creeps right here in the pathway. They couldn't make their way through, so they will have to step back. But they're letting Helios eSports know they are aggressive, and they want to get the kills early. They're already ahead 3-1, recovering after that early first blood. And now DDX trying to man up here on the Templar Assassin in the mid lane. He's 13-7, right side by side with Louis the Pooey on 13, or now 14-3. But man, I feel like Helios eSports now have to play a little more timidly. They've been caught out nearly in each lane. Furion knows he can't be caught out by the Meepo. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to see this mid lane. Templar Assassin's got that DD.
Yeah, Louis the Pooey wanted that kill pretty badly.
Oh, no, the haste being caught out. Denied the mace. Nice pickup by Niadra. They take it and run right back to the bottom lane. Let's see if they can make something happen with it here. No, he's going to do a long loop. Are they going to loop all the way around and go for mid? That looks like that might be the case here. And he is flying through the jungle right now.
Yeah, that hasted move speed is going to make this a little bit easier. Refraction should be able to be taken off pretty easily with the Remnant and just straight up right clicks. And once again, Chilling Touch is going to make this right click hurt an awful lot.
Here they go.
And there's going to be Soul Assumption to finish it off.
He's shedding right from behind with the help of the Grave Chill. They slow him down. Refraction is down now. Cold Feet, will it land? It will not. TP in. Backup is here. Both Lemon Koos and Furion show up, and they deny them the pickoff.
Crystal Maiden just didn't have enough mana to Frostbite.
Unfortunately, hopefully they could have got a counter initiate there, but I guess the save is more than enough. Well worth the rotations. Now it looks like Ancient Apparition Visage will make the rotation back to the bottom lane. Each support planning a ward of their own, but unfortunately Crystal Maiden plants into a sentry ward. So they should be able to deny that ward relatively soon. They go for the pull. They instantly deny the pull and pull the creeps back into their favor. Man, Isurus Gaming laying down the law early in this game.
I mean, we talked about how Meepo got a change recently and gets his first Meepo at level 3 now, and his second one at level 7. That is an enormous change. If you look at this already, he's a level 8. The second highest is the level 6 Templar Assassin for Helios, and they're about the same amount through their level, but Meepo has 2 levels on her already. Now, this is kind of what happens. Meepo's going to take the experience all around the map, and that's going to mean that the rest of his team is going to be level starved. So they really need to be able to ride the back of this Meepo through the mid game, or they're just simply going to get out-leveled in the late game. The thing is, by putting him in a safe lane like this, he can sort of do whatever he wants, take control of the jungle, and he's not necessarily harming the rest of his team experience-wise.
He's doing some serious work already early, 40-8 CS. Expect him to quickly pick up that Agnum Scepter, that Blink Dagger, and that Boots of Travel, that typical cookie-cutter strat you get with the Meepo and really get out of hand quickly. So maybe even of Vlad's. I mean, the question becomes, like, what do you choose first? Let's see. Meepo grabs up the power treads early. But
I mean, there's so many things that you can do. You can go for a Blink Dagger, you can go for an Aghanims, you can go for more of a fighting build with a Mechan of Vlad's. I mean, hell, you can get a Shadow Blade if you want to. It really depends how you sort of want to play it. I would assume that he's being the sort of quote-unquote hard carry here. He's probably going to go for the Aghanims first, unless he gets absolutely just destroyed in the next couple minutes by some ganks and is forced to go something a little more early tanky, like a Vlad's. We can probably assume that he'll go the Aghanims and maybe into something like an AC from there.
It's going to put a lot of pressure on the team coordination power of Helios eSports for them to come together and isolate one Meepo to take down with that heavy burst damage, with the Frostbite, maybe with the big meld damage. You know, obviously Eclipse will pretty much be a roll of the dice on the Meepo, but they're making a movement on the mid lane. Louis, the Pooey, stealths himself, but
no detection, though.
A little bit of damage. They can't
they'll
see
just
it.
AoE him down.
Yeah, they'll just try their best to try to burst him down with the help of Storm Spirit's burst. A little extra poofs. Oh, he's so low. Throws on the refraction. Will he be able to get out of this one?
I'm not really sure why they're not just netting him, because Earthbind stops invisibility.
Oh, wow, that's a good point. Oh, nope, they jump and they end up taking out Louis the Pooey. He will go down. It pushes him ahead 2-4 now. Before all the action... Oh, sorry, go ahead, please.
I mean, he was dead 6 ways to Sunday anyway, but yeah, Earthbind stops invisibility, blinking, and interrupts channeling, so that meld wouldn't have done anything. So that a little bit of a misplay there. They get the kill anyway, but hopefully they'll remember that later on.
4 committing here in the bottom lane. Maybe they're looking for a little bit of push. The Treants are out and available to grab out the Nyx Assassin. Throws out the Carapace to slow things down. But will be able to get away. They're trying to hold the tower here. I thought it was an interesting thing happening here in the bottom lane. They're playing very aggressive with this tri-lane here on Isurus Gaming, but they're doing it very smart. They're moving, giving a lot of space for the Nyx Assassin to pick up those early levels, trying to give him that level 6 early. He has it now, so now Vendetta acquired.
Oh, Meeple's just going to solo kill Furion in the top lane.
Oh, man, grabs him out with the net. Furion trap, can't get away, quickly bursted down. This might be the start of a very aggressive Meepo game. He gets the tier 1 as well.
He opted to rush the Blink Dagger, which, considering how he's doing, is totally fine. He's 2-0, and he had a pre-9-minute Blink Dagger. And he's already back up to about a 750 gold. So, you really can't hate on his item choice there. He's just going to roam around the map, farm the jungle, maybe send a clone to the lane when he gets the next one, and just be an absolute nuisance.
The other thing you have to consider when someone plays a Meepo like this, and something that Helios eSports is not used to. I mean, you grab a Meepo, this is something you're never used to facing, so...
Where is his third Meepo?
He's got one running way back to the base, and it looked like there was 2 on top of each other right over here.
Oh, they were stacked on top of each other. I was like, that's a pretty serious bug.
Going against a Meepo is something most teams are not familiar with, so it kind of puts you off your game a bit. So I think that's definitely a factor. Helios eSports, I don't know if this definitely goes very sour and they get taken down. Do they actually ban out the Meepo for the next time, or maybe they look for it? I like how they save it for the wild called pick up last. They can't easily counter it, so it must have been something you're planning on the whole time. But this is going to be fun. It's going to be hard to keep track of where the hell this Meepo will be jumping around.
Yeah, this Meepo was a really, really nice pocket pickup by Isuru. Nothing that they can really do with it on the Helios side. However, there is still a lot of physical damage. Meepo does have more magic resistance than the average hero, buffed up to 35% instead of 30%, but he can still die pretty quickly from right-clicks. And right-clicks are something that TA, Infurion, and Luna know about, right?
Speaking of dive, they're making a move on the bomb. DDX has the haste. He jumps in on Furion, but with quick rotation power, he's forced to retreat. His haste still plenty active, will be able to get away and move right to the bottom lane where they might make action continue here. I like this play. He made an appearance top. They will not know he's going to be bottom here. This is going to be a 4-man move. If they know that Song of the Sun and Lemon Kisu are hiding behind the tower here, this is going to be trouble, and they do. They jump in. They're making a move of Song of the Sun. Pulls out the Eclipse. Will be enough. It does! He gets the Storm Spirit. They trade 1 for 1, and now Lemon Kisu has to run back, but rotation's coming from Furion, who's trying to man up on his own, and that's a big mistake. Gets taken apart right away. That Soul Assumption does huge damage. Crystal Main, can she get one on the way out? Trying to go on Ancient, but doesn't have the... Nope, she gets it! Nice! Makes it an even 2 for 2, though Helios eSports Mason lose the Luna.
Yeah, and here comes Meepo with his Blink Dagger. He can easily just go just like that.
And now he's going to try to turn this fight right back in there. Whoa! Big damage, however. One of the Meepos forced to pull back. Louis the Pooey now. Uh-oh. Big Crystal Maiden. Can the RNG gods help us out?
Wow.
Nope. Oh, man. This is a bloody and born battlefield right now. The Meepo ends up falling. They lose the Bane at the end. Crystal Maiden falls as well. She needed just a little more help from RNGesus. That Meepo.
I mean, Meepo died. He's dead for a lot longer than most of the other heroes because he's that much of a higher level, but he got a a double kill and assisted in a third, so absolutely worth it by every means. And yep, he's got the Ogre Club, definitely going to be an Aghanims. I don't think a BKB Meepo is a thing that's going to happen.
He definitely needs to be careful now if he has that low survivability. We saw almost there the meld damage doing serious work on one of the Meepos. They almost took him out right at the beginning of his engagement, but luckily he did pull back and get out. Meanwhile, Isurus Gaming making a big jump. I'm hearing an engagement here on the mid lane. Louis the Pooey in trouble, and they get him. Now forced to pull back. The assassin mission was complete. Uh-oh, Sprout cut out. Big ultimate just to go for this one ancient apparition. They get it. Furion throws out the ult as well, but now Crystal Maiden might pay for her life. She will go down. DDX manages to also take out the Furion. They're making a move. They want JNT. JNT, big soul assumption. He's ripped apart. They make it a 4-for-1 on the counter initiate back. Good work here for Isurus Gaming. Will they try to take the tier 1 now? This should be a, wow, solid performance early from Isurus Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, I really hate to call this early, but I just don't really know if there's anything that Helios can do. Luna is sporting every single bit of a Power Treads Ring of Aquila right now. Templar's doing a little bit better. She's got herself drums, but, I mean, compared to the Blink Dagger and 3/4 of the way to an Aghanim Scepter on the Meepo, Storm Spirit is roughly halfway done with an Orchid or so, but his pull is enough. All you need is the Meepo at this point. He jumps into the middle of everything, and no one can stand the burst of that many poofs.
Look at this, already making a go on Roche, something that Meepo will stride in very easily as long as you can micro half decently, should be no problems at all. And I always have a hard time trying to find the right Meepo to even see what he's holding. He's going to Ogre Club, like you said. Blade of Alacrity. Did you already theory that this might be a Sage and Yasha pickup?
No, this will definitely be an Aghanims.
Oh yeah, that's right. Derp. Aghanim Scepter will be the early pickup to add that extra Meepo companion. They quickly take out the Roche. They hand it over to the Storm Spirit, who's already going into a high stride here in the mid-game. Expect him to further enhance his extra pick-off power here. And now look at this. Helios eSports already buddy-buddy here in their own mid-lane. They'll have to disperse now. Luna's got to get that farm. She's got the Ogre Club acquired, looking to go into that early BKB, but there's no damage there yet available. This is going to be a long game for Helios eSports with the amount of momentum that Isurus Gaming has in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Luna needs the farm. She's got the Ogre Club, so she's working towards that BKB. But if you look at the places that she can farm, it's pretty much nowhere. She can take her ancient stacks, but there's a ward. She can take her jungle, but there's a ward. So no matter where she can, quote-unquote, go, she's going to be seen anywhere, and the Meepo and the Nyx are going to pick her off. So realistically, here is where she can safely go.
Yeah. Absolute map control right now. Isurus Gaming know that they're beginning to snowball this mid-game, and they're doing the right thing. The supports are throwing out very aggressive wards. They don't even want to give Helios any sort of breathing room to get any sort of farm. It's going to take one serious misplay here from Isurus Gaming. Isurus? Gaming. Isurus. To get something misplayed for them to get a little more breathing room to work with here. But for now, really choked up on their own side, building up the extra farm on the sidelines here. Song of the Sun. Sweating it out, trying to be the Dark Horse Forest team. Meanwhile, look at this. Nyx Assassin has his Blink Dagger. Meepo completes his Aghanim Scepter and brings in a new buddy. And, wow. This is beginning to be a devastating matchup here.
Yeah,
let's see when they decide to pull the trigger.
Song to the Sun isn't running a Midas or anything, didn't have the early game to really support that pickup, so there's not a whole lot of comeback potential in her farm. She's not even high enough level to have picked up a point in Glaives yet, so she can't efficiently farm the jungle.
Wow, they actually made quick work here in the top lane, quickly ripping apart the Templar Assassin, thinking about making a move further, but see the rotations are coming out, and he will TP out of there. Make it look so easy with that Meepo. Just a dirty dog style strat that you don't typically see unless you're in one of those funky style pubs. But man, Isurus Gaming pulling out all the bag of tricks.
I think he's just going to go solo on this Luna right now. Yep.
Jumps right in, poofs her down, takes it apart, manages to get out the Eclipse, but it will not matter. Too many meepos and creeps on the field. Ancient Apparition. Hey, look at that, he's sleeping.
That's
nice. Yeah,
he just
nicely
dodged
timing
the
himself
AAL
together.
with the sleep. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he attacks himself to move himself further back. I don't think he knew the AAL was coming. It kind of worked out his convenience, just trying to give a little more space between himself and the Tier 2 tower where everyone can rotate to. But now they're looking to make pressure and go for the second tower here. They should be able to get it with ease. The rest of the team rotates in. Helios eSports forced to duck and cover in their own base, and they will have to sacrifice it.
Connor, when you do something next level, it's always on purpose. That's just the rules of Dota.
All right, I'll hand him that. Why not? Full back, doing serious work right now with this meepo regardless, so got to give him mad props for that. Gold earned, over 12K right now for the Argentinians as they begin to go on this Tier 2 next. The Familiars laying out some heavy damage. The Chilling Touch constantly being put out there by the Ancient Apparition, allowing them to do all that extra damage. Nyx Assassin hiding on the high ground has Vendetta whenever he decides to make a move in. It's just not looking good. Just hide your kids, hide your wife. Isurus Gaming taking control of this game.
Yeah, and we talked earlier about the ability of Meepo to farm very quickly, experience-wise and gold-wise. And if you take a look at the hero levels right now, Meepo is 17. The next closest is Templar Assassin at 11. That's a whole 6 levels difference between Meepo and everybody else. Granted, that's sort of the nature of the hero, and if you look at the rest of his team, you know, his supports are much more underleveled. But, I mean, when you have a 6-level advantage on the mid player of the enemy team, it doesn't matter if the rest of your team's underleveled. There's nothing that they can do to stop you.
It's going to take a serious misplay here coming up by Isurus Gaming for them to be in a bit of a bind. It's going to take also a lot of team coordination for Helios eSports to like try to catch out one of the meepos and do all that head front damage, but I don't know. I think Isurus Gaming are playing it right. They're playing it a little safe now. They're not being a little over aggressive. Look at all the space. Meepo can choose to farm wherever he likes. I think it's a matter of building in that extra farm, maybe that little bit of extra couple items. That way they can really jump in and go right for the jugular on Helios eSports and end this one in one foul swoop.
Yeah, they've got to do something. They actually catch out one of the meepos here, but he's just going to poof away. They don't really have a lot of lockdown.
It's just absurd. A little bit of a Houdini act right there. You think you're going to get me. He poofs right back to the fountain, but he's not in the fight now.
Oh, triple impale.
Doesn't matter. Yep, nice impale on 3. Now they're going to make a move. Kunoichi going to get caught out and taken right down. Now, making a move on the mid lane. Lemonkiss has to step back. Can't be caught out. They hand over the one Furion, unfortunately. And it was even a 4 versus 5 right there. So, man, Isurus Gaming, the reinforcements holding their own and just controlling this mid lane. Meanwhile, bottom, it's been DDX pecking away at that tier 2 and forcing Helios eSports to bring some attention down to the bottom.
999 has really been the unsung hero on this Nyx here. I don't think I've seen him hit less than a 2-man impale this entire game. And even when his team lacks the follow-up, he is on point. He's got his blink. I mean, we saw him hit a 3-man impale there. The first one that I saw him hit in the game was 2-man under the enemy's tower.
Oh, Louis the Pooey, nice deny, but he'll pay for it. Ripped right apart. The Meepo takes him down. Soul Assumption. They're trying to take out J&T, who runs to the south, trying to sleep to prolong it. Misses it out. They're going to get the Nyx. They get it. Louis the Pooey had bought back, is right back into the fight, trying to hold its own, but here comes DDX on Storm Spirit. Pulls in J&T. They take him apart, no problem. Trying to get a bit of redemption here on Knuckles, but she might get caught out. Jumped in. The burst is too much. That Chilling Touch. Man, just doing serious work. It's a 3 for 3, however. They did manage to take out the Meepo. I didn't quite catch how that happened. He must have got caught up in the crossfire there with that, you know, one of the Meepos might have been caught out just a little bit too much, and they do get taken down. It ends up being a 3 versus 3, but it was a buyback by the Templar Assassin, a dieback.
Oh, and they
call. I mean, I think it was just too big of a snowball, and they just could not recover.
I mean, that was the epitome of taking a team out of their comfort zone. The draft looked pretty good. Ancient Apparition is a little bit of a different pickup, but they got to the end. They last picked the Meepo and just threw Helios off their game entirely. Hopefully Helios can sort of buckle down. Maybe you give a respect ban to that Meepo next game, and hopefully they can take this and bring it to a game 3.
Yeah, that Meepo wildcard pickup was something we didn't expect, and I don't even think Helios eSports expected it either, and it just threw them off their game, and they just got ran over. Now, what do you think? Before we jump into the next game,